Hello everyone, it is the 1st of February and it is time for the new Read Good prompt for February, and that is February, I think that's how you say, and basically it is to read an Australian book. When I was choosing what to read for this prompt, I basically had two authors in mind, either Charlotte Wood or Charlotte McConaghy. I have read from both of them last year and I enjoyed both of them in very different ways, but quite equally, I think. So I just went to my library website and saw which of the two had more books in my library, and that was Charlotte Wood. And she had The Natural Way of Things, which is a book previous to the one I read, which was Stoneyard Devotional. Stoneyard Devotional was, I like the tone of it. It's about a woman that lives the busy life and goes to live in a convent in Australia. And I think it's fair because it did feel like the more Australian of the two authors and the two books that I read from those authors. So I'm happy that this came out as my Australian book for February. This book is the story of 10 women that were kidnapped by a very rude man and a very brutal man, and they basically the whole of the book is set in the place where they are held and the things that happen to them and the way that they try to build community and they try to escape from the situation they were in, and if they succeeded or not, basically. But also it talks a lot about the relationships between these women and how the men also affected the relationships. It is very focused on how the patriarchy affects these women and how the way that men interact with them affects these women. So I finished this and I liked it. It's more one of those books that you appreciate more than you like, or at least for me. The story reminded me a lot of the beginning of I Who Have Never Known Men, about these women locked somewhere, being treated poorly, and it does show the brutality of the world and men and patriarchy, and how that also affects the relationship between women, because the relationship between the women in this book were also quite flawed. Obviously the relationship with men and with the rest of the world was severed, even though there is no rest of the world really in this book. It also reminds me a little bit of Woman Talking, in that sense of women trying to deal with a situation in which men are being not nice to them. And then in terms of the writing, it was very different from her previous book and very different from what I expected. It was a lot more formal, a lot more serious, and a lot more flowery than the other one, to the point in which at points I wanted it to be a little bit more simple so that the story could flow better, but there was also a lot of very beautiful sentences, so in that sense, if you like beautiful writing, you probably will like this, but yeah, for me it did take a little bit out of the story. So overall I think it was a good book. I liked it, I'm glad I read it, but I prefer her other book. And that's all for me for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, bye!